Afternoon and welcome to another wonderful on-demand POC session with Mr. Ward. The purpose of this particular presentation is to discuss the deficiency notice and plan of remediation. More specifically, what is an effectively written deficiency notice and what is a viable plan of remediation? Let's dive into it. There are basically two specific components of this process. One, the deficiency notice, and the second part, the plan of remediation. The deficiency notice has four primary functions. It identifies the course that the student is in danger of failing and the teacher who teaches this course. It spells out the current grade that the student has at the time the notice was issued to the student. Please be advised that, sometimes we start compiling and preparing deficiency notices, but then a week later we end up issuing those notices. It's very important that the grade that is reflective on the deficiency notice is as accurate as possible. Third, it states specifically why the grade is where it is at the time of the notice. What's causing the grade to be where it is? And finally, it warns. It warns the parent and student of the possible danger of failing the class entirely if corrective action is not taken immediately. The plan of remediation has the primary function of communicating specifically what needs to be done in order to improve the grade. An effectively written plan should do the following. It should spell out specific actions to be taken to improve performance. It should provide specific tasks, assignments to be completed to replace or improve current grades. It provides a specific time frame by which these tasks or assignments must be completed. And then finally, the plan of remediation should be viable. Let's talk about viability. If the student successfully completes the plan of remediation, then the student should either have a passing grade of 70 or higher. Let's say that again. If the student does everything that the teacher has asked for them to do successfully in the plan, it should result in a grade of 70% or higher. If the current grade was let's say a 74 at the time the deficiency notice was issued, then the grade should be higher than the 74 upon successfully completing the plan of remediation. So, what is viability? If the student successfully completes the plan of remediation, then the student should either have a passing grade of 70% or higher. Yep, that's right. If the student does everything the teacher has asked them to do in the plan, it should result in a successful grade. Okay, let's say the grade was a 74 at the time the deficiency notice was issued. Then the grade should be higher than the 74 upon successfully completing the remediation plan. We believe that if a non-subjective plan is written and is successfully completed by the student, then the very purpose of the plan should be met, which is preventing the student from failing or improving the grade that was slipping. Try to provide assignments in the remediation plan to the same category that the student was deficient. If the student is deficient in assessment during learning, then it may be a good idea to make sure that the student receives assignments in that particular area. If the student has a failing average and let's say assessment during learning or let's say projects, then I would apply it in that area as well. But the idea is we are applying assignments apples for apples, oranges for oranges. So don't give the child a whole bunch of homework assignments and the issue is they've never been able to pass the test. In order to move the grade, the category that is deficient should be the target category as we prepare assignments. Now let's talk about the teacher follow-up. After the remediation packet has been submitted or returned to the teacher by the student, the work should be actually graded and applied to specific assignments in the grade book. We would encourage the teacher to place a small note in every area where a graded assignment from the remediation packet was applied. This is so both the parent and the student will be able to see how the actual graded remediation packet impacted the student's grade, and specifically where. Bullet 2, the graded work should be returned to the student if the work was not electronically graded or electronically completed. Okay, so if it was a worksheet, let's say, that was in a remediation packet, well, once that assignment was graded, it should be handed back to the student. Okay, this kind of eliminates the argument of whether or not the teacher actually graded the work as well. Okay, and it shows the parent and the student how well the child performed on that particular makeup assignment. Okay, if the grade was electronically completed, like in USA Test Prep or iExcel or Khan Academy, any of those platforms, please print a grade summary report of the assignments in the actual plan, so the parent and the student can again see how the student performed on those assignments. Remember, this is remediation. It is important to see that the student actually understood the work that was given. Remember that one of the functions of the deficient notice is to make sure that the parent and the student is aware. Okay, unfortunately, the burden of proof, it's on us. So we don't just want the student to do the work, return it, but we also want to make sure that the parent is aware of the struggle that the student is having academically at the time. Okay, so bullet 2 says that the parent acknowledge that they have received the notice by signing it or corresponding with you via email or phone call about the child's performance. Is there any evidence that the parent is aware that the student is in danger of failing? Okay, we want to make sure that it could never be said that the child spent 18 weeks or 9 weeks in the course and the parent was never aware that the child didn't turn in any work or that the child was not doing well in class. Okay, so again, the notification aspect is just important as we talk about follow through, making sure that the parent indeed was aware. Okay, now let's go to an actual plan of remediation and deficiency notice. I just want to look at some of the components of it. When we look at this particular document, at the very top, it gives basically the core information for the class, so the parent will know who the teacher is and what the class is that the child is failing at this time. So this information appears fairly important. This next area, it spells out why. Remember, the deficiency notice, it says why the grade is what it is. Currently, the average is 67 as of October 28th. Okay, this area spells out why. Well, looking at it, the student has not properly prepared their homework. Okay, so the parent knows that the student is not doing their homework. Okay, frequent absences. Well, the student has missed specifically 20 days of class. Well, that's roughly 4 weeks of school. Okay, the student has not made up incomplete work. So that means that there are a lot of zeros in the grade book. Okay, so these 3 areas alone is specifically why the student has a 67 at this particular time. It's very important that the why area, reasons for the unsatisfactory progress, the why area should be spelled out in detail. And then I added another note, Mom, Dad, I will email you on November the 1st, if I see that the student has not logged into the module to complete the work in Edgenuity. So in this particular situation, the student is actually completing the remediation work in Edgenuity. Okay, so the parent will be notified if the student never logs in. Okay, now the second aspect talks about the actual what do I need to do. So the top part says what is in danger of being failed, okay, and why. And then this bottom part says this is what I need to do. Well, first we have our objectives. Okay, the objective of the remediation plan is to earn a grade of 70 or higher. Okay, and to turn in all remaining assignments on time. So this plan has 2 objectives. okay, to earn a grade of 70 or higher and turn in all remaining assignments on time. Okay, task. Complete the remediation module number 2 in Edgenuity by November the 6th, 3 p.m. Okay, and the student needs to earn a score of 75 or higher. Okay, you don't want to just say complete the module in Edgenuity, because if the child completes it and fails everything, then it won't result in achieving our objective, which is a grade of 70% or higher. So it's very important to say that not only do you need to do it and the time frame that you need to do it in, but you need to make this score on it in order for there to be results. Okay, we've also put this module will recover 4 missing assignments from the grading period between weeks 9 and weeks 13 and a half. So this is a targeted remediation plan to cover the grading period between the 9th week of school and the 13th and a half week of school. Okay, the second task is the student must attend at least one Wednesday night tutorial session by November the 20th. And during that tutorial session, the student will be given an opportunity to revise and resubmit for a higher grade Unit 2 post-test. Okay, so the student must earn a grade of 75 or higher on the resubmitted Unit 2 post-test. And if the student does that, along with task number 1, the student should earn a grade higher than 70. Okay, so remember when we talked about viability, what you have written down on the specific task to complete, it must be viable. So if the student does indeed successfully what you've said in the task of the remediation plan, it should lead to a success in your class. Success being defined as a grade of 70 or higher, or if the student had a grade of 74 at the time of the deficiency notice, then the grade should be higher than a 74 by the end of the course, if the child abides by what you have written. Okay, well, that's basically all that I have to share with you all. If you have any questions, I'm more than willing to entertain them. Just reach out and let me know. Have a wonderful day.